Many of you would know Ed Gein, whose crime shocked America, inspired horror films, and left scars on a small Wisconsin town that never healed. And in this episode, you'll hear his story in his own words.
My name is Edward Theodore Gein. I was born on August 27th, 1906, in La Crosse County, Wisconsin. My father, George Philip Gein, was a drunk, weak man. He never had control of the house. He died in 1940 from his drinking. My brother, Henry George Gein, was strong, a hard worker. He questioned things. He questioned her. But my mother, Augusta Wilhelmine Gein, she was everything. She said the world was wicked, filled with sin, that women, except her, were dirty, filthy, the devil's tools. Her words sank deep into me, like scripture. Henry used to argue with her, even in front of me, said she was too controlling, said I was too attached, but I didn't want to hear it. He was wrong. She was pure. In 1944, there was a brush fire near the farm. We went to put it out. The smoke rolled heavy over the field. When it cleared, Henry was dead. They said it was asphyxiation. Some thought the bruises on his head didn't match. I never said a word. The year after Henry was gone, my mother had a stroke, then another. She grew weak. I cared for her until November 1945, when she died. When they buried her in Plainfield Cemetery, it was like the ground swallowed me too. I boarded up her bedroom, the sitting room, the parlor, sealed them like a shrine, clean, untouched. The rest of the house, it rotted. The wallpaper peeled. Mice ran in the corners. The smell of dust and decay settled in. I walked those halls alone, hearing her voice even though she was gone. I didn't want to just remember her. I wanted to bring her back, to become her. The cemetery became my second home. I would leave the farm after midnight, the frost biting my skin, my breath fogging the air. The dirt road was silent, except for the crunch of gravel beneath my boots. At the graves, I stood in silence. The stones lined up like teeth in the moonlight. I always went for women who reminded me of Augusta, middle-aged, recently buried, still fresh enough that their skin could stretch and hold. I carried a shovel, a crowbar, sometimes a lantern. The earth was heavy, damp, each strike ringing in my bones. Sweat would sting my eyes, even in the cold. The deeper I dug, the closer I felt to her. When I pried open the coffin, the smell hit me first. A sour, choking sweetness. Decay, but to me it was familiar. A smell of comfort, of ritual. I would cut away what I needed, wrap it, and carry it home. The silence of the farm swallowed me when I returned, the crickets dying away as if they knew. On the kitchen table, under a dim bulb, I worked, skin peeled back, the knife gliding, my hands steady. Sometimes I whispered to the faces, asked them questions, called them mother. Piece by piece, the house became a shrine of flesh. Mary Hogan was loud. Her laugh filled Hogan's tavern like a punch. She cursed. She joked. She reminded me of Augusta, but not in the way I wanted. She was everything Augusta warned me about, and yet she pulled at me. On December 8, 1954, the tavern was quiet. The smell of stale beer and cigarettes clung to the walls. Snow pressed against the windows. I carried my .22 rifle inside. Mary looked up, surprised. Her voice sharp. "Well, Ed, what are you doing out on a night like this?" I didn't answer. My finger squeezed the trigger. The crack of the gunshot shattered the silence, louder than I imagined. Mary gasped, stumbled, and collapsed behind the bar. Blood spread, dark and sticky, across the floorboards. The tavern seemed to exhale, like the building itself knew what I had done. I dragged her body, her heels leaving streaks through the blood. The sound of her heavy frame scraping the floor stayed in my ears long afterward. I loaded her into my truck, covering her with canvas. Back at the farmhouse, I laid her out. The knife slid in with little resistance. I removed her head, cleaned it, preserved it. I spoke to her sometimes when the nights grew wrong. The townsfolk joked she must be hiding at Ed Gein's place. They never knew how close they were to the truth. After Mary, I went back to graves, kept collecting, kept building. Neighbors saw me as odd, but not dangerous. I'd laugh sometimes, help with chores, babysit kids. But inside the farmhouse, the collection grew. 9 masks, bones stacked like trophies. My private world, hidden in plain sight. Bernice Worden was different. She was respected. A widow, 68, known by everyone in Plainfield. Her son, Frank, was deputy sheriff. On November 16, 1957, I told myself I was only going in for antifreeze, but I carried the rifle under my coat. The hardware store smelled of sawdust, oil, and winter air creeping in through the door. Bernice stood behind the counter, her hands folding receipts. I told her what I needed. She turned, her back to me. The rifle rose almost by itself. My hands didn't shake. One shot, her body jerked, then dropped behind the counter with a dull thud. The echo of the gunfire seemed to hang forever in the little store. The silence afterwards was heavy, absolute. Not even the clock on the wall ticked. I stepped around the counter. Blood pooled fast, seeping between the cracks in the floorboards. I dragged her toward the door, my boots slipping. The bell above the door jingled when I left, as if mocking me. I loaded her into the truck, the smell of copper thick on my clothes. The road back to the farm seemed endless, every tree a witness. In the shed, under the harsh bulb, I hung her like a deer, split her down the middle, emptied her. Her head was removed, her heart placed in a bag near the stove. When Frank Worden found the blood in the store later, he knew instantly. And when the sheriff's men searched my farm, they found Bernice still hanging, her body swaying slightly, the chain creaking. It was the end of my secret world. The deputies moved through the farmhouse, their flashlights slicing through the dark. Each door they opened, the air grew heavier. Mary Hogan's head in a bag, Bernice's head in a burlap sack, bowls made from skulls, skins stretched, tanned, stitched, 9 masks of human faces. Sheriff Earl Sampson turned pale. Deputy Vernon Burdine gagged. Deputy Art Slimely lost control, grabbed me, slammed me against the wall. His hands shook, his face red. I thought he might kill me then and there, but they didn't. Instead, they carried me out past the barns, past the tools, past the neighbors staring. The house stood behind me, glowing with the light of flashbulbs, reporters swarming. They called it a house of horrors. I called it home. I confessed to 2 murders, Mary Hogan, Bernice Worden. The rest from graves. The newspapers turned my life into legend, but I was not a monster to myself. I was just Ed, a quiet man, a son without a mother. They said I was insane. Maybe I was. But I never stopped thinking that if my mother had lived, none of this would have happened. And that was the story of the Butcher of Plainfield, who died on July 26, 1984, of lung cancer at Mendota. They buried him in Plainfield Cemetery next to Augusta, George, and Henry. And even in death, he wasn't left alone. His headstone was chipped, stolen in 2000, found years later in Seattle. Thank you. And I hope you enjoyed the video. Leave a comment and subscribe to get more first-person stories like this.